Not very special today. Pimento, brown basmati, lentils, cilantro, steamed carrots, and some capers. Let's see if James likes that. Okay.
I'm liking it already. Just looking.
Yeah, it'll be healthy
Nice,
anyway.
attractive combination of colors. I'm going to mix it all together, so it's going to look more like a stir fry eventually. But there's some of these things I'm not a big fan of peppers by themselves. You mix them in with stuff, and they're great.
Yeah, well, they have vitamin C, so
Important when
for-
COVID is
yeah.
rampaging around. Scott Moe, who's responsible in an very irresponsible way for the government in Saskatchewan provincial government. He's cutting down daily status reports on COVID down to once a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's just, and of course he's opening things up there. So what he's doing is hiding things. So that's what commies do, you idiot. They hide their stats and all this sort of stuff. And it doesn't help anyone in the long run, except in the short run, it helps your short-sighted political party.
Yeah, it helps them stay
fake.
in powder.
Yeah.
Power for
A longer time, exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of dissatisfaction, especially in the conservative side of things, with leadership. So Aaron O'What-a-Toole, he bit the dust, and Candice Bergen is making ugly noises. This is not the Candice Bergen of TV fame, but the Candice Bergen of increasing infamy, actually. Go on.
Yeah, well, it's just that aggressive people have no business leading societies. In a democratic society, it doesn't. It's undemocratic, actually, to have an aggressive person in power. I mean, in a democratic society, there's really no such thing as one leader, really.
Well,
one leader
everyone
for everything?
leads.
That doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right?
Democrat means crat probably is cognate, possibly cognate with German Kraft, English craft. In German, and probably in more like in original English, it means strength.
I mean, aggressive people are good at making fast decisions for right now.
Well, actually, I think they're bad at it. They're good at making fast decisions, but they don't have a good foundation for making
but
those
if
kind
it's
of
something like war, if they're having to, they don't want to have to think, oh, should my punch be here or there or whatever. It has to be instinctual.
Really, you don't want something that's instinctually instinctual. In other words, it's not trained. So someone can make really quick decisions, relatively speaking. I don't know if you've ever seen speed chess where they're hitting a clock, right? They've got to they've got to have lots of training that goes into that. Same sort of thing with mixed martial arts. You can be out there flailing around, but without training, it's absolutely useless. You tire yourself out, and there'll be counter punching applied to you. If you're walking into a punch, like if you're going like this, getting ready to punch, you're going towards someone, and it's really devastating when someone counter punches. You see what I'm saying? It's different going like this than going like this and dodging away from a punch. So you can really get that. And does that apply to military stuff? Yeah, Stalin telling his commanders after Hitler attacks is relatively surprise attack. The timing was surprise. So that was something like 22nd of June 1941. So Stalin has this stupid idea that the goods that are being rolled off his factory floor are as good as the German goods. I'm talking about tanks and so on and so forth. What an idiot. And he's looking at, he's getting fake reports because people are afraid that Stalin wants this much stuff. Hey, he's killed my predecessor and the predecessor before that. I'd better report that I've produced this stuff, even though they haven't. So he thinks he's got all sorts of quantity and quality of goods. And so he's telling his commanders when the Germans attack, counterattack. because that was what his relatively long-term plan was, to attack Germany before they attacked him. Of course, the Germans have all sorts of good intelligence on the ground, indicating exactly when Russia will be ready to attack, so they make sure they attack before those preparations are ready. So you've actually got to have intelligence amongst your leaders.
If you're a passive person, you definitely have to have the knowledge so that you realize that you're not going to be able to set up a good defense against aggressive people because they're going to fight offensively.
Oh, you've got to be ready for them. Yes. I mean, that's the trouble with Trudeau. Trudeau has got... Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
He's an aggressive propagandist, not an aggressive dictator. And despite what these idiots in Ottawa, Coots, and now in Windsor are saying, he's been very passive with them. And he should be looking to his dad's example when it came to the FLQ and a variety of other scumbugs in Quebec back in 1970 when they kidnapped James Cross and Pierre Laporte and killed Pierre Laporte. Didn't know that they had killed Pierre Laporte. But what he did is declare the War Measures Act. I'm not suggesting that Justin Trudeau declare the War Measures Act. Yeah, I'm not ruling it out as a possibility.
But that has to be ready.
Well, he should bring the military in.
Like the military should have been prepared all the way along.
Exactly right.
We're in a world war.
We're in a war against, it's a Cold War with the People's Republic of China. The whole world is against China.
And Russia, and Putin.
Well, Putin has got more limited objectives than the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China is right now in the process of bullying the whole world. Putin is in the process of trying to bully the West. He's sucking up to China, and China's sucking up to him. Hey, Putin. Hey, buddy. Puto. Check your Spanish-English dictionary, your Spanish-Russian dictionary, Puto. You're sucking up with China. China is saying, hey, you support us with Taiwan, and we'll support you with the Ukraine. China is in the process of getting you to break down the Russian Empire. I'm not talking... You're an idiot thinking about reconstituting Ukraine into your little empire. You should be worried about what you're sitting on in the Russian Republic, or whatever you call it. Because the people... The majority of people to the east of the Urals, and that's not half of your country, it's 3/4, maybe 2/3. They don't look like you. And they're probably happy about it, you ugly SOB. You ugly son of a sobaka. Hey, dude, you, I hope I got Russian right for a female dog. But hey, you idiot.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully some Russian people are watching and stuff like that. Hey, you idiot! You're going to be squatting on a rump of not just your own rump, but a rump. That's what's left of Russia, and I'm not happy about that because Russia would have a stronger. It's very weak, but stronger tradition of something like democracy than China has. I don't want to see China, People's Republic of China, so-called, squatting on Siberia. But that's what's going to be happening, possibly in your lifetime, if you keep up your stupid adventurism. What a dingbat you are. What was that?
I don't know. Why don't you talk about the music stuff? You have these music books out. You keep carting out.
Hey, the thing is, I want governments to do things right. So Trudeau's on record as saying, you know, he's suffering succotash. He sounds like Sylvester the cat. You know, this pandemic sucks. Yeah, hey, dude, your response, it sucks, but your response to it has been awful.
Yes.
Awful.
The government response to COVID sucks.
You should never have let this stuff in. Ever, you stupid idiot. Now you're stuck with the consequences.
Yeah, and now it's going to cost a fortune to try to clean it up.
You'd better make sure, like one of the things your advisors were telling you is, hey, we can't close down traffic with the United States, especially on the Ambassador Bridge going from Windsor into Detroit and vice versa. That's the busiest international crossing in North America. Well, I don't know what it's like crossing the Rio Grande with folks coming for a so-called better life. But here's the deal. It's closed now. The truckers have closed it up. Well, they've kind of opened it up a little bit. I think it's one lane, but it's basically going into the United States, not coming up into Canada.
Yeah, they managed
well, it's closed, you stupid idiot. You stupid idiot. You see, it's closed.
Yeah.
So your little plan, hey, we're gonna get COVID and all that sort of stuff, but at least we're gonna keep that open. It's closed, you stupid idiot.
It should have been kept open for commercial purposes, for bringing imports and exports of goods that we need and that other countries need from us.
No passenger traffic.
But no passenger
That's what it should have been right from the beginning.
No butts across borders.
No butts across borders. And no butt heads across borders. Now you're stuck with, and what you're doing, and the Conservative Party is absolutely shameful. They're sucking up to the trucking. They're telling Trudeau, you got to negotiate with these. What?
You don't have to negotiate with them.
They're saying Trudeau is dividing the country up. Check this out. They're saying they should negotiate. Hey, you idiots. It's like Trudeau was saying. Canadians don't go around flapping the Nazi flag. They don't go around flapping the Confederate flag around. Confederate flag has nothing to do with Canadian history, okay? When you got people flapping that around and people are involved in a demonstration, and that's a week and a half ago when it started, anyone who's a real Canadian and seeing that sort of stuff, seeing the harassment of women, people of so-called color, hospital workers, people wearing masks, just general inhabitants of the center of Ottawa, when you see people like that getting harassed by people who are part of your demonstration or occupation, whatever you want to call it, it's your responsibility as a Canadian, someone who believes in democracy, someone who believes in being nice. You get out of there. Now that you're hanging with these idiots, you are one of them. You're a Nazi. I'm not even using the word fascist. You're a Nazi. If you're still hanging with them now, after they've shown their true colors are black, red, and white. You check out the colors on, at least the self-respecting Nazi flag. That's what you are. You're sitting there squatting. Apparently it's 500 trucks. I want to see all those trucks impounded, confiscated, really. In other words, hey, once you get out of jail, you come pick up your truck. No, that truck goes to auction. It's confiscated. You get impounded. In other words, you get chucked in jail. Eh? So once you get out of jail, you can buy your truck at auction. And what's that going to be? $100,000? These guys should be on the hook for $50 million if there's 500 trucks sitting in Ottawa. Trucks and farm equipment sitting down at Coots. That stuff should be not impounded, confiscated. You buy your equipment back once you decide you're going to do a job. Deliver truckloads. And once you decide you're going to do a farm job. And do your, I don't know if you went down there, you stupid idiots, in your combines or whatever. That stuff should not be impounded, but confiscated, and you have to buy it back at auction. You can get those funders who've got $10 million coming to you, and see how far that gets you to auction when you need $50 million.
Or Putin. That's probably your funders.
You idiots. Yeah, so, you are doing the will of Putin and the People's Republic of China.
I have to go. I go out wearing a mask. I got some of the fancy new masks, and I felt pretty. It was hard to breathe while wearing it, and but I felt safe that I wouldn't get COVID as likely to catch it, whatever, and spread it back to James, or spread it to some other people that might spread it to other people, and somebody might end up dying from it.
I wouldn't spread it to too many people. I'd basically just go to hospital
and die
and get treated and things like that.
Yeah, but
I wear a mask. I got a low immune system, and that's why.
But I hate it. I hate having to wear a mask.
My nose is.
I mean,
wounded.
you're wanting to talk about protecting Canadians and your own freedoms and stuff. As long as you keep doing the bidding of PRC and Putin, and spreading COVID around throughout this country and making sure that
our hospitals
and keeping Canadians from getting treatment in the hospitals because you're wasting resources on yourself.
We go running up, save us from COVID.
Then I have to wear a mask.
Suck it up and die from it.
Wearing a mask. I go out hiking, I have a mask in my pocket. James wears it the whole time. That sucks.
While I'm hiking, just in case we meet someone, I gotta wear a mask.
It sucks.
All the time. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of you idiots.
I'm tired of my freedom being taken away. Me having to wear a mask because you're out there taking more than your share of the freedom.
Swanning around.
I get less and less because you get more and more.
If people had actually been responsible
Think about it.
Without regulations, this stuff would barely have spread if people were wearing masks just as a matter of good manners. The thing hardly would have spread. There would have been some work on some spread on jobs where people are working close together. But people have been wearing masks and keeping them up over their noses and junk like that. But let's go to bigger and better topics. Okay?
You go to it.
Like you wanted to.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to deal with this kind of garbage, but yeah. I'm sick and tired of you guys messing around with my freedom.
So you're talking about Joni Mitchell, eh?
Joni Mitchell!
Okay.
Will you take me as I am? Joni, I wouldn't take you as you are. Or where? Neil Young Nation! I love this guy. I'm going to show you another close-up. I'll show you the close-up of Neil Young. And then down here, here's the poor guy, Kevin Chung, who wrote this. He's a big Neil Young fan. He's not exactly studly. He doesn't pretend to be. So I'll give you a close-up of Joni Mitchell. Back in the day, there's Joni Mitchell back a little bit after she was a runner-up for a Miss Calgary pageant sort of thing. And here's, she should have gone with an earlier photo of her. I think she kind of got a little Botox on her lips there, but not too much. I've seen way worse. Cher, she's the first time. So it's a list of all the first times for her and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, as told to someone. Alright, I'm going to start with Joni Mitchell. That's why I got the glasses on. Read the beginning of this. So, written by Michelle Mercer. Now, let's just see. Yeah, so it came from a senior place.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Joni Mitchell is. I mentioned her name to someone, a nurse, not the youngest, not the oldest, in a hospital, and she'd never heard of her. It wasn't a nurse, it was someone who was drawing my blood. So I didn't decide to push it because I didn't want her drawing my blood any more forcefully than necessary. So Joni Mitchell's Blue Period. So wow, I mean, Blue Period, that's like Picasso is considered the god amongst artists or something like that. I think he's a dog amongst artists, but he had all sorts of talent.
I did like the Blue Period.
Some of that's okay. I mean, okay, introduction. You've probably known this kind of...
Well, she's so arrogant. That's probably why she probably picked that out. for
no,
that
she's
reason.
not being ironic. So
she probably thinks she's better than Picasso. Better than everyone.
Joni would think that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think the writer is being ironic about that narrative.
No, I think that Joni Mitchell would have picked that out.
I see what you're saying. You've probably known this kind of girl. Maybe you've been... What was that?
Nothing. To put herself with Picasso. To say she's the big genius.
Yeah. Maybe you've been her. I certainly was at 18. When a guy seemed like a decent prospect, there was one good way to find out. A true test of character, she said. An absolute gauge of worth. There's something I want you to listen to, I'd say. The CD cover alone suggested a drama of introspection. It featured her downcast face, the eyes half closed, the high sculpted cheekbones of a fairy queen. Yeah, she had a bit of I think it's an overbite or something. Gave her high cheek. A fairy queen, all withdrawn in a wash of blue. Not any kind of blue, not sky blue or cornflower blue or turquoise. The manufactured shades of crayons make up tulips. This blue was an experiential palette, a product of living. The shadow in the spotlight, smoke's invitingly acrid edge, the ocean at dusk after you've been swimming in it. You didn't play Joni Mitchell for girlfriends. At least, I didn't. I already knew they got it. Oh, really? Well, maybe your girlfriends, but women generally, I don't know if they got it back then. Joni Mitchell was not a huge seller back then. I think this was 71 or 72. This album came out blue. She clarified murky emotions so you could immerse yourself in them. The conflicting need for love and independence was less troubling when expressed with such vividness and precision. It's infatuation, not love, in the case of Joni Mitchell, I'm afraid. She's in love with the feeling of love, of falling in love, and feeling that comfortable ambivalence was like being able to breathe underwater. I wanted to lie next to someone who experienced the same ravishment of self-reflection when he listened, and until that happened, I could dream. So I played the record alone, ruminatively, or for a potential lover, expectantly. The guy usually intuited that Joni appreciation was a kind of foreplay. That's good, he'd say. It was tough to muster a response equal to that sound, especially in an era of ironic grunge and cold cynicism. It wasn't grunge back then, and cold cynicism. Oh, of course, it was when she was 18. And cold cynicism in pop music of, here we are now, entertain us. But do you hear the lyrics? I'd ask. I mean, are you really listening? Okay, so the boy might produce an insight about the poetry of a song, something along the lines of, I like the idea of drinking a case of somebody. And that's called a case of you. But even such an ace response wasn't enough. My strict religious upbringing regarding sex had relaxed into a kind of chivalric code, wherein virtue, while no longer sacrosanct, was still nonetheless a rare treasure of which someone must prove himself worthy. There's yet one more test. How do you like the music, I'd ask? Meaning, can we disappear together to another time and place? A soulmate would hear the ingenuity of Joni's chords. She did, the chords aren't that ingenious. The tuning of her guitars were ingenious, but she had to do that because she had weakened strength in her hands, I guess, because of the polio she contracted. The novelty of her song structure, like her songs, some of them were pop structures, and then some of them were sprawl structures. She can't seem to decide on which to go with, and she ends up not having. She prefers the sprawl structure. Could he see blue sounds and feel chords as colors that can be imaginatively strummed or alternatively tuned into mutant shades? Was the combined power of her words and music animating new reaches in him? The guy might reasonably decide, I just wasn't worth it. Now, if she'd been a contemporary of mine and she tried to pull this trick on her, I would have been tempted, but I wouldn't have done it. To pull out Highway 61 Revisited and or what would it be? Sergeant Pepper's, and say, Sergeant Pepper's, can you appreciate the musical structure? Or can you really get into these lyrics? I'm telling you, when we're talking about lyrics, Joni Mitchell, I have no compunctions about mentioning, because she's been so awful, accusing Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen too, of plagiarism. Absolutely shameful. You could accuse Bob Dylan of appropriating, shall we say, music, like song structure, but plagiarism. Get off of my cloud, you stupid idiot. At any rate, like, hey, can you really check, do you really know what's happening in these lyrics? Highway 61 Revisited. Bob Dylan blew Joni Mitchell, her best stuff, out of the water, and that's on one album. There might be 10 songs on there, lyric-wise, that are better than anything Joni Mitchell ever produced. But you know, I wouldn't have played that game. What sort of stupid game is she playing? Now, it's something a teenager might pull, but I gather she's a little bit beyond that stage.
Well, I think it's like the Sea Shepherd, how he's all about rebellion and stuff. He has a pirate flag and everything like that. Yeah. And I think Joni Mitchell, that's really what her music says, is she doesn't want to, she could do pop. I mean, there's been times where she did it successfully, but she didn't want to. Not just successfully,
but pretty well. She actually has a way with music, with tunes, with melody.
Yeah, but she didn't want to do it.
She doesn't want to do it.
So she wants to rebel against pop, but by doing so, she doesn't come up with she doesn't have anything better. Because that's the problem with a lot of aggressive people. It's like a kind of, I read a book recently with, there was a character with echolalia in it, and I thought, gee, I wonder if this person that I've, an acquaintance that I kind of run across, I wonder if they have. And then, so I've been thinking about echolalia a lot, and I've been thinking about how really that's, I was talking about the DISC method of personality theory, and Erickson's books, which have been very popular, talking about DISC, and he doesn't deserve the popularity. He's not smart. He is not the expert that he is successfully marketing himself as being. And that's the thing. A lot of aggressive people who are, as he puts it, yellows, they are good at marketing. They're good at selling themselves as, frankly, something they're not. And I've been thinking about his yellows are really more like they have a kind of echolalia. It's like they're able to copy parts from different music, put it back together, and like rebrand it, or whatever. And with other inventions too, they'll take things that the real geniuses have come up with, and the real inventors have come up with, and they just tweak it a little bit and rebrand it, tweak it and rebrand it, and things really don't go anywhere with them. It's just it's really superficial what they come up with. And so I think that Joni Mitchell is probably fairly yellow, and in Erickson's classification.